can't think of a better way to honor our brothers and sisters than through the names of the wall. I pray that we as a nation will never forget the sacrifices and the hardships of our Vietnam veterans and their loved ones endured. And unfortunately, some continue to endure. I got a chance to look at a couple of names today. One was a high school friend of mine in Stuttgart, Germany, where my dad was. His brother, James Mello, 19 years old. Another guy, Captain William Sanderson, III, out of Georgia. My father-in-law served with him many years ago. This evening we honor the soldiers, the Marines, sailors, and airmen who served our nation in a place called Vietnam. As the oldest son, we career non-commissioned officer at Fort Bliss, Georgia. Growing up there, and other military places around the globe, my world was the military. All I knew was the military. I knew nothing about private sector or about industry. Soldiers were my role models and my influence. I'm a proud product of that time. My dad served as platoon sergeant in Vietnam with the 9th Division. He returned home with a Purple Heart and Bronze Star. He was in country from November of 67 through October of 68. And during his tour of duty, an event called the Tet Offensive grabbed the nation's headlines. Even today, I can vividly remember what I saw as an 11-year-old boy on the TV news as my mom and my siblings gathered around the dinner table. Reporters explained how the U.S. military had been soundly defeated. They showed us the evidence. Remember the burned out buildings, the destroyed huts and homes, the burned out vehicles and the corpses shown on TV, the enemies and our own. It wasn't until many years later that I learned we had militarily defeated the enemy during that offensive. And we were on the verge of turning the tide in the war. My father-in-law served 2 tours with the 4th Infantry Division. When I spoke to him earlier this week, he said, "Billy, you be sure you go see William's hands. Touch his name. I'll report back to him tomorrow I've done that." Mission accomplished. Like my dad, my father-in-law also returned home with a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart. Both of these men saw the elephant. Both of these men lost friends. Both of these men returned home to a nation of citizens that did not honor or cherish their service. As General George Casey, the former Chief of Staff of the Army, stated on Memorial Day in 2008, and I quote, "I think that by now, most Americans recognize that we got it wrong in not acknowledging the courage, the valor, and the commitment of the men and women of our armed forces who fought in unpopular war. I also think they now resolve never to let that happen again." Unquote. As a kid growing up at Fort Benning, my next-door neighbor was a guy named Command Sergeant Major Wallace Colson. He scared me to death, as most sergeant majors still do today. Wally Colson was a man of steel. I was in awe of this highly decorated combat veteran of World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. When I went on a visit to see him about 8 years ago, I knocked on his door. Sergeant Major Colson answered the door. We looked through the little window there, and all we saw was this tall, ugly Lieutenant Colonel, armor officer. He stared at me for a few seconds, and then he said, "Sir, you've done well. I'll cherish those words until I die." Another soldier who was my role model was my uncle, Command Sergeant James Daniel, a no-nonsense artilleryman. Uncle James also served in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. He is a rough as a god. And during my college years in ROTC, all my instructors, everyone was a Vietnam combat veteran. Professor of Military Science, Lieutenant Colonel John Colson was my officer. He flew Cobra helicopters in country. We loved to gather around him to hear those stories. My senior instructor, Military Science 4 instructor, was Major Mitch Willett, an armor officer. with a combat infantry badge he had while working in the Phoenix program. If you don't know what that Phoenix program is, Google it up. My MS-3 instructor was Major Jim Agard, a West Point grad, an airborne Ranger infantry officer with a combat infantry badge. He was the epitome of an infantry officer. Captain Willie Hinton, an airborne infantry officer with the CIB, was my MS-2 instructor. My command sergeant majors were Ricardo Rocha, a big burly guy who had previously been the command sergeant major of the airborne department there at Fort Benning, in what we affectionately called the Benning School for Boys. But the soldier that influenced me the most during my OTC stint was Master Sergeant Don Toon. Master Sergeant Toon taught me how to interact and deal with soldiers and non-commissioned officers. He taught me stuff you can't find in a field manual or in an SOP. Without his mentoring and his coaching, I never would have survived as second lieutenant on active duty. These men, these Vietnam combat veterans, were my influencers and my mentors. They taught me how to be a man, how to be an officer. I am their legacy. If you read the book or seen the movie, We Were Soldiers Once, read by Major General retired Hal Moore and Joe Galloway, you remember two heroes and close friends, Major Ed Too Tall Freeman and Lieutenant Colonel Bruce Crandall, both Medal of Honor recipients. At Ed's funeral in the summer of 2008, Lieutenant Colonel Crandall told the story of seeing Freeman in a Boise hospital his last few days on this earth. They swapped stories, told lies, as soldiers do, and we reminisced about old times. When Crandall got ready to leave, he bent down and kissed Freeman on the forehead. Ed responded with a few called-for words that his mother would not want to hear him say. And then he added, "I'm not that sick." These two warriors, these two heroes, these two patriots, these two comrades in arms, went above and beyond the call of duty to serve their fellow warriors and their nation. And so this evening, we honorably and with the most dignity lay a wreath at the Vietnam Moving Memorial Wall to recognize the service of those great men and women whose names are etched there. May we as a nation never forget their sacrifice. Thank you. And God bless the United States of America. Biography for Captain David Darney. Stand up here. Captain David Darney currently serves as the 145th Brigade Support Battalion, Brewery Detachment Battalion Commander. He has also served as HAC 145th BSB Company Commander, Plans Officer, and Personnel Officer. He served as Logistics Officer for the 148th Field Artillery during the Operation Iraqi Freedom 3. He served as the A&O platoon leader for his 116th Engineer Battalion in 2000.
That's retired U.S. Marines Corps.
Prior to commissioning, he served in 3rd Brigade, 4th Infantry Division as a sergeant
who was speaking right
and infantry and deployed to Kuwait in the mid-1990s. Captain David Darney. Did you want to say a few words? Might as well get them all. I didn't know what voices.
Go ahead, soldier.
Thank you for the extemporaneous opportunity to speak to you this evening. My name is Dave Darney. I am a local resident, and just in case I was asked to give a little bit of a speech, I kind of prepared something. There's a young man in the audience who's here from Afghanistan. Where are you? Is that you? Come on up here a minute. Can you come forward for a minute, please? Come on up. You can run. Okay. Now How old are you? 20 years old? Okay. What unit are you serving with? Second time, fourth ring.
Thank you.
So what's the average age of your unit?
20 to 23 years old.
This is my daughter, Jessica. How old are you, Jessica? All right. I brought these two young people up here. I'm 42, a little bit older than them, and I've been around serving in the military for the last 17 years. 58,000 soldiers on this wall there. Airmen, seamen, Marines. Their average age was 19, about the same age as this young man right here.
Wow.
So what I just wanted to have these two young people come up here and to remind everybody here that
They were just
they
kids.
gave their life at a very young age before they had an opportunity to really live. And from one generation of soldiers to the other, I want to say thank you for all of the soldiers that served during the Vietnam conflict.
Who,
I would just like to say that I went through your artillery school, sir, back in 1967, and before they shipped me to Vietnam. I learned very well, because I commanded a 105 battery for about 9-10 months over there, but I was lucky. Nixon started to pull us out there, and I was also lucky because I didn't lose anybody, except my battery was encased on it, and they lost people. But I took it over afterwards, and built fire bases, about 3 or 4 fire bases, and got shot at and missed. Okay, at this time, I want to thank the drummers of the Nez Perce tribe. Let's all recognize them, please. If you didn't get to see them this morning, they gave an outstanding performance, and we're very proud of you guys. And thanks so much for coming out, okay? Give them another hand. We will have, this is a medley by Lewiston Fire Department bagpipers before we go to the big ceremony. At this time, we're going to have, instead of going all the way down to the wall to put a wreath out, we're going to do it up here so you can see it. And later on, we'll take it down to the wall. I hope that's all right. So, color guard. Gauge hut. Please, man. Like a stand, please, everyone.
Hold on, stay in your shot. I won't be in your shot from here, what? Will I be in your shot from here? No, you got. It's actually TV. Oh, wow.
Sergeant Major Lenahan chapter.
I don't know if we want to be standing here when they start firing those guns.
You stand as I take the color guard off.
Forgot the tissues. That was beautiful. Never hurts to show our patriotic duty to our veterans. I want to say thank you to those who brought the wall to town. This is quite an experience for kids my age who were born 5 years after the war ended.
Thank you very much. Rest at ease and sit down a minute so I can talk to the bagpipers and passing it back through here. I know I threw that in there. But you're so good.
I'm going to walk over here and see if I can grab a seat. Seat real quick. Excuse me, sir. Is the seat open? Yeah, thanks. See that table on the front there? It represents a soldier. Those that are still missing in action. Fire department by a type of drum for honoring our veterans. those who were killed in the Vietnam War. For those of you who watched the video from the other night, Thursday night, that plane flew over again tonight, and you can see the color of the clouds in the background, kind of the smoke against the sun was quite a beautiful sight. Had we actually been in the war, though, we'd all be dead right now because the F-4s would have dropped in on us and napalmed us, but that's how it was done. We're paying their respects. The end of the Saturday night ceremony. The Walls banner said Thursday morning, and it's leaving Monday evening, I believe. So I'll have some more video of tomorrow night's ceremony when a pastor from a church that I semi-attend here does his chaplain duties. Gentleman who gave her a 21-gun salute. Nicely done, guys.
All our dignitaries, thank you for coming tonight, everyone. And Colonel, Captain, and everybody else here. You did a fine job on that hill.
There's the wall coming from the far right-hand corner, going down. Those of you who have never been to Washington, D.C., you can actually go online to themovingwall.com and request that they bring it to your city. It's a quarter-scale size of the actual wall in D.C., but it's just quite as moving if you get to attend all these ceremonies that come along with it.
And Steve Orr will be, the chief of police will be the main speaker, song by John Healy. I'm going to play, or I'm going to recite a poem by BFC, and he made a meeting last quarter, Bill Hepper, USMC, called the colors and we'll do it here. It's a nice poem, so anyway, see you tomorrow night.
It's an interesting ceremony tonight. I'll take you for a brief tour down the wall if you wish. We'll pause for a moment. I understand a lot of you on Facebook and YouTube knew quite a few people that served in this war. There are still over 2,000 names that are not listed on this wall because they're still MIA. Some of them are probably still alive. But to Jane Fonda and some of you other people who were the naysayers when our troops returned home during the war and even after, you can just take your anti-American crap and shove it because you don't treat our veterans that way. There's just thousands of names on those wall notes.
There's one, guys.
I'll have to look at towards that as I go.
Like signing these or?
They have a tent over there that has a book. You can actually find the name of the person who gives the wall section and the line they're in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When they brought it to Moscow back in the 90s, they had a computer to help you do that. You could get a piece of paper and a crayon and do a rubbing. Very similar to what they do at the real wall in D.C.
Back there, helping them with their, rub their names on a piece of paper on the back. Yeah. That's much better.
Don't mind me just passing here. You just see there's thousands and thousands of names. There are, they're counting down. This is the east side, mind you. I have a friend, I'll try to find his name for you here in a couple minutes. He grew up with my dad and my uncle and served in the 117th, I believe it was, Air Wing out of Long Beach, California. I get just a little bit closer there for the names. I'll try to station the camera there. You can just see there's hundreds of them. This is the people that died during the later war. It was a 22-year-long, or a 20-year-long war from 1955 to 1975, 5 years before I was born in the 1980s. Boy, the world sure has changed. Jody Dunn. Wow, that's a lot of people. But you're currently panning down the east section of the wall towards the middle. You can see the names keep getting longer and taller on the sections of the wall. You almost cannot even capture them all. There's just so many thousands of them per section right now. I'm guessing there's probably 1,500 or more per section. And this is still the east side of the wall. Again, this is 1/4 scale of the actual wall in D.C. And no, I am not in Washington, D.C. right now. But I appreciate all my loyal fans on YouTube for allowing me to do this. And I apologize if you hear me crying a little bit in the background, because this is it's quite moving.
Hey, how's it going?
Very good, man. And there's the corner where they meet. And I gotta find section 30 over here, because my uncle and my dad's friend is listed on there. And those of you who live in D.C. can actually find it. It's section 30 West and row 59, and he is the third name in from the left. His name is Michael L. Woodside. He was a side gunner on the Bell Hueys in Vietnam. It should be right about in here. There we go. Let's see here. There it is. Right there. Got my finger next to it. I can find it. Come on. There it is. Michael L. Woodside. You heard what the guy was saying earlier. Most of them would rest in peace, my friend. Anyways, they said most of them were in their late teens, early 20s. So it was mainly kids that died in this war. And I just want to pause for a moment and also not remember our troops that died, but those on the other side, casualties of war, and civilians, etc. Pause for a moment down here. The western end of the wall.
That's the number. And then line.